Hello and welcome back to the Grand Address, where the blind are leading the blind throughout this whole hour-long journey with us. My name is Jack, and I'm here with,
I'm Alec.
and we're here to talk today about a bunch of different things. So to get started, targeting ads have existed in our world for a long time, and
Mm,
I've never fallen susceptible to them. Alex said he hadn't fallen susceptible to them
Never. I think they're terrible.
until earlier this week when a targeted ad finally won some of the hard-earned cash from one of our
Oh
co-hosts.
yeah. So I played hockey for well over a decade growing up. I love it. It's my favorite sport. I play it whenever I get the chance to. And I'm also a snow skier. I like to snow ski. I'm not that good at snow skiing, but I can do it. I like it. I have fun with it. I usually go once or twice a year. And I got a targeted ad recently for snow skates. They're like hockey skates, but for snow. The best thing I compare them to is super, super short skis. And I looked it up. I did research. They looked phenomenal, and I actually bought a pair, and they'll be here in 3 weeks.
Oh, well, I have gone skiing twice in my life, and quick funny story about that actually. First time I really went skiing, I was in college, and I went out to Copper Mountain in Colorado with some friends. Oh, it was a great trip. We stayed at a motel like a couple miles away
Can I,
from the resort.
is Copper Mountain similar to Copper Falls in northern Wisconsin?
No, it is not. I did not see any running water as it was the middle
Okay,
of the
okay,
winter.
okay.
But anyway, we were at Copper Mountain. Yeah, it was. We stayed at the hotel, rented our skis, carried them to the bus stop, hopped on the bus, and went to the mountain every morning. So the first day there, I took a ski lesson with my one of my friends at the time, and he was my roommate actually when I lived in New York. And we had a great instructor. His name was Lionel, like the Lionel Coin Bank, which we had ads for as a kid, and I vividly remember these ads.
Targeted ads, man.
Um, but at the beginning, it was going okay. We did a group lesson, but by the second half of the day, I really couldn't figure out how to ski. I could only turn to like my left. My friend could only turn to his right, and our instructor thought we were messing with him, but no, we just couldn't turn. Anyway, he made us walk down the mountain at one point. But later on in the day, I was skiing with my friend, and it was me like doing the greens, and then the rest of my group who weren't the beginners, they were taking the lift to the top of the mountain. And while I was
Mhm.
skiing down, I was on the beginner run, like the easy screen on the mountain, taking up the entire width of the run with my turns, going so slow. I mean I couldn't stop, and I was so focused on not falling and just
Mhm.
trying to move forward. Well, apparently, while I was going, a kid who had no control over his skateboard, I probably weighed 100, 150 pounds more than him, crashed into me, and my friends say
You bodied
he
him.
bounced about 15 feet uphill after hitting me because the ski boots are really hard,
Yeah.
and he just bounced off, and I just didn't notice what was going on. However, remember how I said I can only turn one way?
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I failed to turn and then I fell. Not because the kid hit me, but because I couldn't turn. His parents
Wow.
came over to me like, "Oh my gosh, we're so sorry. Like, are you okay?" And I was a little confused. I'm like, yeah, like I'm fine. I didn't know that the kid hit me. I look up at the lift. My friends are like pointing and laughing at me because I just obliterated this child
Oh
apparently.
boy.
And it was later explained to me that this kid came flying into me, and he bounced like 10, 15 feet uphill. One of my friends captured it on video, I think. Unfortunately, I don't have the video to share right now.
Sure, I'd love to see that. I want to see
I'll
that.
work on getting it. But
Good,
yeah, that
good.
was my last time skiing. Since then, I've learned how to snowboard, and it's gone much better.
Mm.
Do you think you're gonna have an experience like that with your snow
I
skates?
don't know. It's new to me, but as far as transitioning from ice skating to rollerblading, that was super smooth and super easy. The snow skating, supposedly it's a similar transition, and I think it'll feel really natural for me. I'll look really weird to other people, but if I get good at it, it doesn't matter because it'll impress other people.
How much downskill ice skating have you done?
Zero. I've done
Oh,
zero downskill ice skating.
but Red Bull hosts that like downhill ice
Yeah,
skating
yep.
courses. How do you
Huh,
think they build those?
I think
No,
they
we've discussed this
I think
before.
we have. I think they freeze the ice in sections flat
Hmm.
and then angle it when they get there.
Yeah, and then my idea was I think they like build the course and they freeze some sort of very absorbent material. Like they lay down some absorbent material and then they freeze it so the water freezes and conforms to the course.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the benefits of mine is like you can that cloth is really easy to make and stuff, and there's not a
Wouldn't
lot
yours
of
be rough though? Mine would
what.
be smooth.
Well, you can I don't know. Can you Zamboni it like not a massive
Yeah, you just get like
truck.
a hot mop and
Hmm.
take a hot
So
mop
why
and wipe
can't
it
you
down.
do that? I'm not that
Because if
yeah.
it's super super bumpy, it's tough to do. But
Okay.
it has to be relatively like flat.
So what do you think they cut a bunch of sections of ice and then
Not cut it. I think they freeze it flat as panels, and then they angle it, and that's how they get the downhill slopes.
what they like so you think that there's not a smooth transition onto the downhill? You think it's like a
I think there is, but I think for like that little angle, they can kind of just,
they just go, I mean
they
they're
just
gonna
put a little
skate
water in.
over it. They're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
wreck it anyway.
Hmm.
So do you think then it's frozen from the top all the way to the ground or just like the top level is frozen?
Oh, just the top level. These aren't icebergs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um so anyway, if you do decide to get these snow skates, are you going straight to the double black diamond at the top of the mountain?
No, we'll see. I've reached out to a couple ski places if I can actually use them there. I've
And
had some interesting results. One of them just said no in the email, just no. No, they're kind of just no. The other one, the other place I reached out to said no, and then emailed me 10 minutes later saying I talked to the GM and they said yes. So from now on, I'm gonna bring them to wherever I'm going, and if I ever get asked about it, I'm gonna say, hey, no, this place lets me do it.
yeah, you can and when you go there, if you go there, you can print out a little screenshot
No, just take
of
my
the
phone. I'll be like,
email.
hey, here's your GM saying I can do this here. So
Yeah, just
cheers,
I
mate.
promise I won't hurt anyone else. Myself, no
Yeah, no
promises.
promises. We'll see. It's new to me.
Yeah, but anyway, the reason we were discussing this is because we do want to plan a ski trip around the holidays if we can
Yes.
during COVID. We'll see what happens.
It's outdoors,
Hmm.
distance.
But
I think skiing is very
one of
doable.
the other things we get to do during our holidays is see our family.
Hmm.
For example, Thanksgiving is coming up, like we said this, or rather, when you're listening to this, it will have passed a couple days ago.
Wow, yeah.
And
Happy Thanksgiving,
happy
everyone. Hope it was a good
Thanksgiving.
one.
I hope you enjoyed a nice meal full of turkey, followed by some PS4s or PS5s shopping
Hmm.
after. But how about I want to talk about the Wednesday that you just enjoyed. Now, this Wednesday is referred to as Blackout Wednesday because a lot
Wow.
of people, come to their hometowns from wherever they're
Hmm.
living at the time, and they go out to bars and just get super drunk with their friends. Now, that's not going to happen this year. So, what you may have done instead was stay in with your parents, brothers, sisters, family, close friends, or really family, and drink with them. So, I kind of want to talk about what it's like to drink with your family, and if you have any tips or tricks, or at this point, because it had passed, if you have any of what you should have done or and you should do for next year, ideas about drinking with the family.
It's interesting. I've been to a lot of weddings with my family, and we do drinking, we'll do shots and stuff. I don't know. A lot, they get very pry. They ask me a lot of questions, and that's usually my experience. Is they try to get really nosy and try to really figure out everything about my life.
So what do you do when they come up and they ask questions you necessarily don't want to answer?
I go to the bar and get another drink.
Is that always the best? I
It's
mean,
always the best answer. Like, oh, I'm sorry. I just polished this one off. I got to get another one.
yeah, take 7 shots later, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
fun night. So I have a little bit of a different story, just because I'm the oldest out of like all of my first cousins. All my brothers are younger than me. All my
Wow,
cousins are
I'm some of the
younger
younger.
than
I'm one of
me.
the younger cousins.
So I've never been to a wedding where I was old enough to drink.
Okay.
And when my family, I mean, so every Friday night, my family has dinner together. So it's my mom, my parents, my mom's brother and his family, and then their parents are here.
Hmm.
Her other brother lives out in New York, so he doesn't get to come their family doesn't come every week. But they always start with the drink, and I don't always join in with them. But I guess during Thanksgiving time it's gonna be a little bit different,
Hmm.
and we I guess I don't know because I never really drink with my family, so I don't really know what to expect, and I'm most likely hearing this won't have been drinking with my family on this past
Oh, why not have
Wednesday.
the new experience? Spice up your 2020 a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like the thing is I don't need them to like be nosy and prying. That probably won't
Well,
happen.
they also become. It's strange. There's also that transition where they're not really your parents. They're more just chilling and talking with them too. It's not all nosy and prying. Like you do have some good, genuine conversations when you're drunk with your family.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been drunk with my family, and I don't know. It's just embarrassing because I think
Hmm.
of me being drunk is like inhibitions are down. I'm a little off how I usually want to act, and I'm just not where I usually want to be, and I guess I don't necessarily want my family to see me that way.
Hmm.
Right? There's a reason, like nightclubs are dark dungeon basements where you can't see
Bro, what kind
anything.
of nightclubs you going to?
Only the
Shit.
best nightclubs.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh,
That's what I like to
unfortunately,
hear.
my favorite nightclub was closed recently because of COVID. It was called the Mead Fiddler over in Manhattan, where I used to
Hmm.
live. I would go with my nightclub friends out in New York, and it was great. They had a basement where they played like
Hmm.
trap music. Then they had an upstairs floor where they played like
Damn.
electric music that wasn't as heavy, and it was fun. The first time I went there, I don't know what happened, but there was probably 50 to 100 people there who had traveled like from all over Europe to the
Hmm.
United States. I don't know if they were having an event or not. I didn't know anything about it, but it was awesome. So many foreign people. I have a
Uh,
friend, she's from Singapore, and we were talking to this dumb
wow.
Irish guy, she said, and he goes, "Where are you from?" She says Singapore, and he said, "Oh, what's a Singapore?"
What?
Yeah, that was my response too. So she grew up in like she lives in Singapore, grew up there.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I mean,
this
I know what Singapore
yeah, and
is.
this Irish guy just said like what's a Singapore when she said that's where she was from.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't if my parents ask me something, I don't want to be a drunken idiot and be what's a Singapore guy.
No, you wouldn't be. I don't think you would be. I think you should. I think you should try it and report back next week on the podcast and tell us all how it went.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know. But as long as we're on the topic of like human interaction and such, when you think about a lot of pets that we have today, I guess the most common being dogs and cats, and
Hmm.
less common like Billie Eilish's tarantula. Um, it's about like I guess the quality of the pets and like if it's any of it is human like. So do we pick pets based off how similar they are to humans without actually being human?
I believe so. When you look into why people are attracted to puppies and kittens, it's because they share similar features with human babies.
Like what?
Big eyes, big limbs, kind of just floppy messes. And then as they get older, like these dogs and cats and other animals of the sort, common pets, will show a lot of emotions with their faces and be able to interact with you a lot. Now, much more uncommon is like our insects as pets. They do exist, but it's uncommon, and I think it's because they don't show us emotion or human characteristics. As in, we almost gravitate towards things similar to us, which is a big topic. But I think that's why people pick pets the way they do.
Okay, so why aren't there more than pet? I mean, do we agree that monkeys are more similar to humans than dogs?
Yes,
So why don't people have more pet monkeys than dogs? You
that's
think?
a fair question. Maybe it's because they're high maintenance.
Do you think it's maybe it's just how we've socially built like the structure around
Or maybe
dogs?
maybe it has to do with the uncanny effect. Like it's almost too similar to us, where it's uncanny to
It's like
have our own
raising a
house.
baby that's not your child.
Yeah, kind of. It's uncanny, sort of like when you have something in a movie that looks human, but your brain still doesn't see as human.
Yeah, the idea of like the uncanny valley where it's just so
Exactly,
close to being
exactly.
right.
Like maybe that's why people don't have pet monkeys is because it's cool, like it's very, very close to human baby, but it's just not, so it makes you uncomfortable. Versus a dog, which is similar but doesn't give that effect.
Well, I never grew up with pets, so I'm not really sure how similar it was to raise a dog to like a child. I've also never had any children, but
I've
I
never
feel like
I've
it's
never raised a
always
dog. I grew up around dogs, but I've never owned a dog myself.
so. I guess growing up around other than like obviously you don't well I guess kind of you take your dog for a walk like you play with your child as in like like you throw the ball back and forth
Hmm.
with them or I mean the dog doesn't go to school but you feed your child you feed your dog I guess there are a lot of similarities there's probably some stuff
I
that I'm
hope you feed your
missing
child. Yeah.
well I mean
Oh,
I don't have any children
that's fair. That's fair. I don't either. I don't feed my kid.
one day though we'll see
Hmm. Hmm.
but yeah I guess it's really hard for me to give in my opinion, just because I've never had a pet, I would love to have a dog one day.
Hmm.
I really, it's just because actually, when I think I want to have a pet one day, so I have someone to like just show me love and affection,
Hmm.
and I was deciding the choice is between a dog and a cat. Now, why are other pets like less socially acceptable? Why is everyone's first thought of a pet either a dog or a cat?
Probably because it's so common and socially
Because we have
acceptable.
like infrastructure built around being able to easily raise dogs and
Yeah,
cats.
yeah. Like there's the Koopa Bara.
I don't know what that
It's like
is.
the world's biggest rodent. It's like a
Oh,
dog.
really?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. Supposedly they're really friendly pets
Are they
too.
raised as dogs?
Yeah, pretty much.
I would never have a pet rodent. I'd.
No, this is like a dog-sized rodent.
Does that make it better? Probably.
Yeah, I think they're cute. I'd get one.
The New York City rats threw me off a little bit.
No massive rodents.
Yeah, yeah, those were Those were a bit rough. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
actually, when COVID shut down, apparently a lot of the rats were dying because when COVID shut down the city, there was less food and less clutter and stuff around the city,
Mm-hmm.
and the rats just weren't getting to eat as much.
It's unfortunate. They
And
should have learned from their chipmunk brethren. Brethren
and kept the chipmunk.
kept the food stash.
Yeah, but oh, why don't people have like? Do people have pet chipmunks? I know some people have mice and rats.
Well, I'm
It's
sure
like
there's a
it's
small number of people
uncommon.
who have like flying squirrels and sugar gliders.
Sugar gliders.
The sugar glider is a flying squirrel. Just
Oh,
took me a
okay.
second to come up with it. People have like off pets like that, but I think those are outliers compared to how many people have dogs, cats, and
So you think it's just
the
because dogs and
basics.
cats, it's a mixture of them being human-like and just having more, just they have the infrastructure built to raise them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think monkeys are too uncanny for people to actually have in their homes.
Mm. Well, I know a lot of people like their pets. A lot of people also like their cell phones
Hmm.
and social media. And one of the biggest apps that's blowing up for social media is TikTok. So Alec has recently gotten to a
I will
bit
be
of a
uninstalling it.
kerfuffle.
I am uninstalling it in a week.
Not only is he addicted to TikTok, which I was addicted in college. I used TikTok too much and then I uninstalled it. Thank you, Michael, for telling me to do
I will
that.
uninstall it live on the podcast next week.
Will you?
Yes.
Okay. I am writing it down. Alec uninstalls TikTok. But while I write this down, Alec got into a bit of a dispute
Yes,
on a
yes,
TikTok
yes,
he
yes,
saw.
yes. So I wouldn't call it as much a dispute. I find now that I'm stuck at home all the time, a nice pastime is having very logical, wonderful conversations with people online.
Logical or illogical?
Well, those are the joke, it was sarcasm. Yeah. So it was over a video of how to get past traffic, and in the video, there's two lanes.
The extra lane.
No, there's not no extra lane. There's just two lanes, and one of the lanes ends because there's construction, right? So most people were in the left lane getting over early because the sign was saying get over. And the guy in his TikTok was trying to explain the best way to beat traffic is to go to the right, go around all the traffic at full speed, and then cut in at the last second to save time. And his argument, he was trying to say there's that extra lane. If everyone utilized that other lane, there wouldn't be traffic because you have, same number of vehicles, more surface area. And that sounds logical. It's very good. My argument, saying it doesn't matter how much area there is and how much roadway there is, you just have to focus on the bottleneck because if everyone tries to merge in the last 5 feet, that's the important 5 feet that matters versus the rest of the road. And the reason it is backed up is because people like him will go around everyone and cut people off, which stops them, causes them to break.
Hmm.
So that's where the argument was. Where do you stand on that? What's the proper thing to do there?
I mean, I would get over kind of once I see the signs. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not very much of an aggressive driver.
I mean, I am,
I know you
but I
are.
also like to think of the whole more. I like to drive fast when I can, but I don't tailgate people. I don't get people's asses. I don't weave. I don't do any of that. When I have the option to, I'll drive fast. If not, I won't because you have to be respectful of other people on the road.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
God, I mean, I would obviously get over once I saw the signs.
Also read a very technical document about traffic theory, which was interesting. I can't
Ooh.
recite it because I don't remember, but this argument got to the point where I was reading about traffic theory.
And what was kind of the general consensus on these traffic theory papers? Yeah, I walked into your
There's
room.
there's a there's a limit where traffic will flow smoothly, and once this limit is hit, it'll just become really intense, really suddenly.
Hmm. Well, I did walk into your room. I expected you to be playing video games, and instead you had a research paper pulled up on
About
your
traffic
monitor
theory.
with, mathematical
Well, because
models.
it was very similar to process improvement, industrial engineering. I
Ah.
was talking about flow. The flow of the material. Flow of the material, bottlenecks, and the traffic theory also talked about flow. Not necessarily bottlenecks because this was very specific involving construction.
So, was there any response to the argument you made on TikTok?
Well, we went back and forth quite a bit.
So
And I think I won the final argument when I said we need to focus on the bottleneck, and it's better to spread the bottleneck over a larger amount of road. And what you should do is drive normally however you want, and if you see a sign to get over at your earliest convenience. Plus, it's also safe for the construction workers. You're always looking out for them.
Yeah,
We love them. I know construction sucks. but they do all the hard work that nobody else
If we
wants
didn't have
to.
construction, we wouldn't have roads to drive on.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
then there'd be too much traffic, and you
That'd
wouldn't
be
get on
much
the
more
road.
traffic without those people.
Yeah, definitely better to be safe, especially when there are people working
Oh yeah, yeah.
outside.
So that was the point of my argument.
Hmm.
He didn't respond to that because I thought that was a very solid point.
Well, that was just a couple hours ago. We'll give you an update if anything comes
It's
of it.
fair. It's fair. Next week.
Have you gone into any other TikTok arguments?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. It's been a while. Definitely some, but none quite as fresh as this one. Because
Okay.
this one, I also, someone had a better idea of what I was talking about.
Hmm.
But I don't understand traffic very well. But
Yeah, I mean, we've only been driving for how many years? 7 years?
yeah, something like
It's
that.
it's not a lot compared to, our parents who've been driving for that plus,
It's fair.
30 years
Mm-hmm.
or so.
Hey, but that doesn't mean he's making the right choice.
Hmm. So neither of us own property, but our parents, like we just talked about, they do own property.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things that I want to put on my property, but you and I live in an apartment in a city,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't really have space. We can't make modifications. But when everything does open up, and I do own property, or you own your own property,
Mm-hmm.
and we do get the chance to really put in our property and like organize it how we want to. Uh, I mean, I'm definitely going to be making a lot more changes and have a lot of space to put things I want. But what are you
Mm-hmm.
going to do when you own property? What is something that you want or like you can't have until you own your own property?
A machine shop and a bunch of shitty cars.
All right. Let's take this one at a time because I agree with the machine shop. I want to be able to fabricate and build my own stuff
Mm-hmm.
and just
Do you have the skill set to do it, or
uh
is that something you learn on the job?
I mean, so I did take a class in college. We learned how to use like the manual CNC machines, and then we learned how to use like the sheet metal
Well, you said
presses.
manual CNC. That's not a thing.
All right, well the manual mills, sorry.
Okay, okay.
We learned how to use lathes, and then I've done a lot of like woodworking stuff,
Mm-hmm.
from small projects to big stuff, like small stuff like boxes and big stuff like
Mm-hmm.
tables and chairs.
Yeah.
The rest I would learn, but it's primarily going to be to build shitty robots. Like I just want
That's
to
fair.
build
That's
shitty
fair.
robots.
Do you have any of those ideas brewing in your head for shitty robots,
I've
or
got enough. I've got
enough?
some.
Okay.
The next idea we kind of discussed this was so it's about
A
spy
butter
movie.
robot.
No,
Oh,
spy movies and bombs and how you have to be like very accurate while defusing a bomb. But
okay.
what if I hooked up like a taser backpack to a bomb and like put that taser backpack on you and then gave you a manual
So
on
I
that
get
fake
tased, then I
bomb?
explode.
No, it tases you instead of blowing you up.
Oh, so it's not a bomb taser. It's a
Yeah, it's a
taser, fake
the
bomb.
taser simulates the
Oh, I thought I was
bomb.
gonna get tased and then explode.
No, because
Okay.
yeah. But you have the taser. I'm not allowed to own a taser, so
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
you'll have to hook it up yourself. But I'll wire the bomb for you.
Oh, great, great.
You
I
know,
know. I'm not
my
very
my
familiar.
Arduino powered bomb, which you'll be able to just
Mm-hmm.
pull the plug out of the Arduino and then cut power from the system completely.
Okay. You could, yeah.
But so I just want to build like crappy robots with my machine shop. That's really it.
And you classify that as a robot?
No, that's less. That's not really
Okay.
robot. That's like another project I want to build. I don't know. I'd want to. Oh, let me think. I can pull up my idea of robots, but
Like, does that define a robot? Like, what is a robot?
I really it's just anything autonomous that. Well, we can look up the
Yeah,
definition
yeah,
of it.
yeah. Let's look that up and see what we think.
Well, you can look it up while I say
Yeah,
what I
sounds
think.
good.
So, kind of what I mean when I say shitty robot is anything that can autonomously do a task from you. So, it doesn't have to be humanoid or anything. I can have a robot that literally moves a knife up and down and call it my vegetable chopping robot.
But your taser thing is not a robot.
I mean, it's like a simulation of it's like a puzzle. That's more of a puzzle, I think, an electronic based puzzle.
So Google's definition of a robot. It says in parentheses, especially in science fiction, a machine resembling a human being able to replicate certain human movements. A machine, or other definitions, a machine capable of carrying out complex series of actions automatically, especially ones programmed by a computer.
So that's the definition I was going for.
Okay. But is that not like complex making a fake toy, a toy bomb?
I mean, yeah, that's why like I
Like
put it
that's a robot.
I classify that in my ideas of robots. I don't really know if it would be colloquially called a robot,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that's fun. I'm working on a robot right now where I get to, I'm not going to spoil anything, but play a childhood video game I liked in a fun and innovative way.
Okay.
It's a fun project. I have it literally sitting on my desk right now, and I have a lot of editing to do there. But
Wow.
it's a fun project. I just want to build robots. So what do you want to use your machine shop for?
Dumb things. I don't know. I want to learn more about cars and mechanics.
So oh, we can talk about the cars then. You want a bunch of garbage
Well, it was
cars?
more of a joke. I mean, like maybe, but I just only. It's just more so so I could rip them apart and like see how they work and learn for it
Oh,
myself,
you're
hands
not gonna
on.
crash them into each other?
Well, I mean that would be fun too.
Destruction derby in the
Or like I don't
backyard.
know, maybe I'll make a car that's like 2 stories tall and I'll like drive from the second story. It'll be like a monster truck but the reverse. Like instead of the wheels and it being lifted, it'll just be like the driver's seat is like 8 feet off the ground.
So it's not lifted.
No, the driver's lifted. The vehicle's a normal vehicle.
Oh, so it's just.
Lifted driver.
Hmm. What about making your van to go live in van life for?
I'm not doing van life. Absolutely not.
Never.
No, van life is dumb. It would have to my if I were to do van life, it would absolutely have to have a bathroom and shower. So I would do RV life, yes, but I
Okay.
would not do van life. I will not poop in a bucket. I will not. I will not use like I don't. How do you even shower? You just jump in the lake.
I feel like you go to a public shower. I don't know. I haven't done enough research on it,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest.
Okay.
Um, but I don't know if I'll ever do van life. I'd like to, maybe. I can't say I'd like to actually, because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
But going back to the topic of property, so other things I want is I just want a lot of space outside so I can put things like an archery range, for example. I think, if I
Sure.
could have any dream house, it'd be Jason Momoa's house. So his backyard, he has a rock climbing wall. He has a skateboarding ramp. He has like an axe throwing slash archery range, and he
Mm-hmm.
has all this stuff in his massive house in Hollywood because he's a multi-millionaire, incredibly wealthy. But I think a house like
Mm-hmm.
that, just with a bunch of activities and things to do with all your space, that sounds so much fun.
Okay.
Open it up, share it with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best boat to have is like your friend's boat or whatever the saying
Exactly,
is.
100%. The best boat to have is your friend's boat. It is fun using the toys. It is not fun owning the toys.
Right. In this case, it's like, it's worth it for me to own the toys just because I know enough about maintaining like an archery range. It's not really that difficult. It's
Okay.
nothing like a boat.
Sure.
But yeah, I just want a lot of space to just build stuff and put stuff. Oh, but that's an example. I wouldn't. I could like build the Target stand or whatever, so that saves me, buying like waiting for someone to ship it to me, just throwing it together. And obviously, that's like a
Sure.
simplified, easy version.
You just make out of 2x4s.
Right. But my point is, I don't have the infrastructure to do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could do it with like a jigsaw,
Yeah,
but
you can probably do it.
yeah, a handsaw even.
Because
It
you don't
just
need any like crazy equipment for
it
that.
would just
Yeah.
take handsaw hand drill. It would just take a long
Oh
time.
yeah. Hmm.
But no, I would love to have space. I have it all written down what I want. I want a lot of property, but I don't know. So I grew up living in the suburbs of a big city, and so did you.
Hmm.
And I don't know how if I want to live in a big city, if I want to live near a big city. It's what I'm thinking like I want to be like within a couple hours of my family for sure.
Okay.
But my parents, as well, my mom and my dad both live within 20 minutes from their parents. I
Hmm.
don't know if I'm going to be that close just because where I live, it's not necessarily the optimal place for what I
Yeah.
want.
Well, Colorado. I thought you said you're moving out to
I'd love
Colorado.
to move to Colorado.
Yeah.
That's a 1 day drive away from Chicago.
Yeah. That's not
Living in
close.
Denver, yeah, it's a day's drive. That's not bad.
That's bad.
Uh,
I don't think that's easy. That's not a drive down the street.
well, no, that's like in the case of an emergency. If I want to go visit my
Yes.
parents, I
Yes.
would just
Well, in
fly.
the modern time, in a case of emergency, you can fly anywhere.
Yeah, except not during super bad COVID when you can get COVID and bring it to your family.
That's fair. That kind of defeats the purpose of seeing your family during an emergency.
Yeah, if you bring the emergency
Yeah,
to
you bring the
them.
emergency.
Hmm. Um, well, I want to move on to our next topic here because I don't really know how we're doing on time. Ooh, it looks like we're doing good on time. But the next thing we were talking about, shifting into more of a philosophical topic, is about language and I guess our mind and processing. And the question is,
Hmm.
how much does language affect our thoughts and our processes
Okay.
and our ideas?
I don't know. One thing I did have that was interesting that's similar to that question is are different languages like contain different information density? So, example, let's just say we have an English sentence. Is there more or less information compared to a Spanish sentence,
Ooh,
or like Chinese, which is it pictographic? Is No, there's the symbols. They use symbols instead of actual words, right? Traditional
Yeah,
Chinese
the characters
characters,
are
yeah.
similar, but yeah, they carry more meaning than I think one
Exactly.
English
So could you
letter.
say that's a more information dense language, and you can transfer more knowledge over a short period of time using that language?
So I don't know if it's over a shorter period of time, but I know space wise, I know it's much less characters.
Okay.
But the same. So I speak two languages,
Is there a most efficient language?
probably.
Okay.
I mean, I think practically yes, there is a most efficient language. I don't know what it is. I think theoretically, yes, there is a most efficient language that nobody knows or could speak. Like we could create an infinite number of characters and have every character mean its own word,
Hmm.
or like the thousand most popular words all of their own character. And
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe I'm describing a language that already exists because I only speak English and Hebrew.
Hmm.
But at that point, like there probably is like a theoretical most efficient language. Now, whether or not that exists,
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But back to how language affects our thinking, I think it definitely has major
Like
implications.
how so? What go
Well,
into that?
I don't have any, I can't remember these specific examples, but I know that there are certain adjectives we use to describe things that don't exist in other languages.
Hmm.
For example, now I guess it's a bad example because my Hebrew's not it's not great. It's it's conversational, but it's not incredible. But I do know that in some languages to describe like specific adjectives they don't work. I know in certain languages different colors are defined. So we have like red, green, blue, purple, violet, magenta, whatever,
Hmm.
and like orange,
Yeah.
yellow. We have like the main colors. But there are some colors where, with color sliders, you could create them
Yeah.
like specific red, green, blue values. But we don't have a specific word to describe that color. And I know other languages describe color differently. So if I wanted to visualize like a blue green house, like to me and you, like a blue green could be very different. Versus if this blue green in another language has like a specific name, then we could use that color and then we would both be able to visualize the same painting in the room.
Okay.
So that's just like I guess a simple example
Hmm.
of how language can affect our thinking.
Okay. No, that's interesting. I don't know. It's tough to think about. Or I don't know if you don't have a language, can you still like think and comprehend
That's an
things? Like
interesting question. If you can't speak,
if you never learned a language, could you still like do you? What do you
how do
think?
you
How do you
process
think?
your thoughts?
Yeah.
The problem is, I feel that that's impossible to know
Hmm.
because if you can't communicate, how are you gonna communicate with like there's no
How do you communicate with yourself?
right. Well, the question is, can you communicate with yourself? What's your guess? Again, it's here we're the blind leading the blind, where we don't really know the answer to the question, and I'm sure with the Google search we could figure it out.
Hmm.
But what is your guess? What's your hypothesis?
I think there's been examples of history and people in history where people don't know languages and can still think and be themselves. I don't know how that thought process works though, but I think you can definitely still be alive without knowing a language.
Yeah, but so you don't have any way to describe
A
like your
dog.
thoughts to
Yeah,
someone, right? I mean,
correct.
well, think about like a back to the pet example. Like if your
Hmm.
dog's happy,
The butter
like
dog.
traditionally they'll wag their tails.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the way the dog will communicate with you. But if the dog is
Mm.
feeling like now, I might get a lot of hate for this from some dog owners,
Uh
but
oh.
if your dog's feeling
Careful,
like
you're talking to one
if your dog's
here.
feeling anxious, can you tell? Does it like shake? Or if your dog,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
but what about something more complex? What if your dog's like, I want to paint this room green?
No.
Right. Okay. So there are ways for.
The
So
dog
I would.
can't communicate. Like, I want to. You know, basic level emotions from a
Yeah.
dog.
Okay.
Like, you obviously know the dog's happy or sad.
Okay. So the answer lies somewhere in the middle. So language. Okay. We veered really far from the question of whether or not language affects our thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and I really think it does.
Yeah.
Like bored just because.
What do you think? Do you think, like, as far as, like, does language affect our thinking?
Mhm.
Do you think inherently, if I speak English and someone else speaks Spanish, excluding cultural differences, just knowing Spanish or knowing English causes me to think differently? I don't think it does. Because at the end of the day, we're like, yeah, God,
But
when I think red, I think they call it red. Rojo, I think of red too. So I don't think that would affect the way of thinking. Actually, I think that's cultural
Yeah, but culture
difference.
is built. Language is a part of culture. I don't think you can separate the
Yeah, you
two.
can, dude. You're talking to a guy who barely speaks Spanish. I can separate.
But when you really get into like the depth, like language and culture are, language is very heavily associated with the culture.
Okay,
Like you use your language to define a food, like to name a food in the
so
culture.
C++ of culture.
Okay, I'm not talking. Yes, C++ does have a culture
Is it
around
different from
the
Python? Does Python have a
yeah,
different
C++
culture?
developers and Python developers think very
Oh
differently.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
However, those are not the languages that I was talking
What
about.
if you only taught someone how to code? Not even like English or a language. Do they just only coding? Could they communicate?
I
You're the computer scientist. I'm asking you this. I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know enough about
I
programming.
don't think you can teach development without knowing a language,
No,
like a speaking
but you can.
language.
Kids know how to use iPads and technology before they know how to speak. Like I've seen like little kids playing on phones without like even knowing what they're
But
doing.
yeah, do they know what's going on?
I don't know,
These are the kids you're losing to in Fortnite.
dude. For real, you're losing the kids. You can't even speak.
And they're beating you in Fortnite. Well, I guess the general consensus is,
I
does
don't think it
language
does.
affect our thinking?
I think inherently, if you separate language from culture, I think language does not affect
Okay.
your thinking.
Well, maybe we'll have to. I think it does, and I guess that's for you to let us know. Leave a comment below.
Hmm.
Tell us if you think language affects thinking. So I want to move on to our final segment today, which is our highly requested question, and this is where we go little bit off the wall, and we get a little frisky and think about some weird questions. And the question for today is, why did no like commonly known animal evolve to have three
Why are
legs?
there no three-legged animals?
Why are there no? Well, I'm sure. Are there no three-legged animals
I don't
at
know. I
all?
know we're two legs. I know dogs have four
Yeah, we're
legs.
bipedal. Dogs are
I know
quadrupedal.
there's insects with eight legs. I don't know anything that walks on three legs.
So no like tripedal
Not that
animals.
I know
Why
of.
not?
Uh, nature like symmetry. I couldn't tell you
You could
why.
make a triangle symmetric.
Oh, it's true. Yeah. The only three-limbed thing I can think of off the top of my head is like a fish. It has two side fins and then one tail fin. But that's
Apparently,
it.
are you talking about odd limbs or three limbs?
Three limbs, three legs, three.
Okay.
It's not a thing. Why not?
Well, fish has like one tail.
Kangaroos? Do you consider
Yeah,
the
well, because
tail a
a
limb?
kangaroo is a tail, which is used apparently like a limb.
But we define it as a tail, but I think they do rest on it.
Well, the monkey uses its tail for
Oh,
a
that you could call it a
lot.
fifth limb because
Yeah,
they walk on their hands too. They crawl around.
that is true.
Any one-legged animals?
One-legged.
Yeah.
I, I,
So it just hops around on one leg.
I
I don't
mean, like
know.
bacteria don't
Like
really
that
have
Pokemon.
limbs.
Like that
Spoink.
Spoink. Yes,
I
like
mean, exactly
Spoink, a
what you're
one-legged
thinking of.
animal.
It's a little like pig on a spring,
Because
pretty much.
mm-hmm. So I don't know why that's the case. Why there's
I mean,
minimal three leg,
it's it's probably
but the
because
tail is different physically from a leg.
yeah.
Like structurally, it is different.
So
So I don't think I call it a leg.
my best guess is because when you're bipedal, you have like your balance sense that lets you balance equally on two legs. You don't need the third leg to balance, and then when you move to four legs, you get or four limbs, you get certain advantages like
Do
being able to
elephants have
move
five limbs?
faster. No, I'm
The
not
trunk?
counting. We're
No.
just talking about the legs.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
when you're on four limbs, you can probably move a lot faster when you're not when you're on four limbs, but when your
Hmm.
species has been genetically created or evolved to
Created.
or
Ooh.
evolve. Well, if you're like creating a species, I'm thinking of like
Can we? What are you gonna create a species?
no,
Okay.
but I was thinking more of simulating evolution on the computer with like
Spore.
yeah, like spore pretty much. Um, yeah, but the idea is there's probably advantages to four legs like speed, stability.
There's advantages
Um,
of three legs, more stability than two.
yeah, but you're sacrificing.
Tripods. We
It's
build in triangles because it's a
it's
more stable structure.
yeah, it's a lot more stable, but it's harder to it's
Or
like
pyramids.
species need to be movable, right? Like they need to travel. But maybe they don't. Maybe a plant could have three legs.
Do plants have legs?
No, plants have roots.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, they don't have. Yeah. Uh, maybe it's an energy related thing. I know being bipedal saves us a lot of energy moving around, and
Hmm.
four legs uses a
Well,
lot
it's
of
because we
energy.
have big brains.
Well, some of us do. I don't.
We can use our big brains, and we can take some of that, 18 years of brain power to develop. We can devote some of that to learning how to balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't balance when we're babies, but we can as we grow up.
So is balance a learned attribute, or is it just like you grow into it? Is it
Yeah.
underdeveloped, or do you learn it? Do you learn balance, or is it just an underdeveloped
If you were
function?
never taught to be bipedal, would a baby naturally walk on two legs, or would they crawl their whole life?
Yeah, I guess if a baby never saw someone walk on two legs, but it still crawl, I think it'd still crawl.
Well, I think it would just mimic whatever it's around.
And what if it's around nothing?
Oh,
It'd probably crawl.
yeah, it
Because
would
that's the
probably
baby's.
crawl.
What if
It's
it
the
rolls?
easiest
What
way
if
to
it
move.
rolls? What if the baby just starts rolling
Like a
everywhere?
hot dog.
Exactly.
Anyway, babies are hot dogs. Alec Onnington arguments on TikTok. And have fun drinking with your family. This has been the another episode of the Grand Address. I hope you enjoyed yourself and I hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving.
All
Have a
right.
good one and stay
Happy
safe.
Thanksgiving. The butter dog, the dog with the
You
butter.
said butter
The
dog
butter dog. Oh, we
halfway.
started.